the infinite and always people pleaser, that version of you that wants to be liked, but that is not always respected. Being the one who's always there and available for everyone else is actually a form of self-abandonment. Learning to be quote unquote difficult might actually be the thing that finally gets you where you want to be. Hello, and welcome back to the EmpowerHer Podcast. I want to talk about something today that I think we as women don't realize is holding us back. And that is the pressure to be the quote-unquote chill girl, the easygoing one, the one who doesn't ask too much, who's always available, always understanding, always there for everyone else, is always good with whatever the plans are, right? I know you know who you are. This used to be me, the infinite and always people pleaser, right? And this can be relevant if you're in a relationship, if you're in your career. It's that version of you that wants to be liked, but that is not always respected. And I think that's where we get confused and we put the emphasis on the wrong thing. So I really want to talk today about this cultural obsession with being low maintenance, being agreeable. I know there's a lot of videos on this online and a lot of discourse, but I just want to talk about it from a different perspective, specifically in your career as well, about why this actually hurts women and why being the chill girl, why being the one who's always there and available for everyone else is actually a form of self-abandonment. And more importantly, how learning to be quote unquote difficult might actually be the thing that finally gets you where you want to be and where you're meant to be. So let's kind of define what the chill girl means just so we can get a base of what this archetype is. So this is the woman, the chill girl is the woman who keeps everything smooth for everyone else. She's easy, she's flexible, she's low maintenance, she doesn't want to rock the boat, she doesn't ask twice, she says, oh, everything is fine, even when it's not, in order to make sure everyone else is feeling better. And she's been taught, whether it's consciously or not by society, by the way she grew up, whatever it is, that being likable is safer than being honest. Let's write it back, okay? That being likable is safer than being honest. So this may be hard to sort of put into contextual terms of sort of how we see this show up in day to day. So I just want to give a couple of examples, right? Maybe at work, she picks up the extra project because she doesn't want to seem unhelpful. Maybe she stays quiet when her male colleague has interrupted her. Maybe she doesn't negotiate a salary raise because she doesn't want to seem difficult. Maybe she over-apologizes when she enforces a boundary because for her, she feels more comfortable in the moment that way. And the reason this doesn't work long-term is because the more you over-accommodate, the less people are going to respect you and respect your capacity. And the more you train others and yourself to believe that your needs don't matter, the more they will try to take advantage of you, even if it's just subconscious, right? A lot of people aren't mean-spirited. They're not trying to take advantage. They just think, oh, she's done it before, so she can do it again. And the chill girl energy, it's a little analogy, is really just anxiety in a cute outfit. And the thing is we know this comes as many of the things that I talk about on this podcast is this comes from cultural, historical, and it is absolutely deeply gendered, right? And so the chill girl ideal was designed around male comfort. Surprise, surprise. It's rooted in misogyny and the idea that women should be pleasant, should be non-confrontational, and should be easy to manage, right? That's what men wanted back in the day. That's what we as women were socialized to think, that we need to be pleasant, we shouldn't confront, we should be seen, not heard. That was what was taught to us. And we're taught to prioritize being liked over being real and asking for what we want. And then in the workplace, that conditioning becomes strategy. We think that being easy to work with, we think that being pleasant, we think that being liked will keep us safe, whatever safe looks like, right? Whether it's not get fired or be in good graces of our boss. But of course, like that archaic way of thinking, because really that is what it is, it's no longer relevant to the way we live. And, again, of course, there's situations when that happens. I'm just talking about generally speaking in a workplace where there's no sort of intense trauma, right? It doesn't actually serve us. And in turn, what it does long term is it costs us our peace, our power, and our pay, quite frankly. And being agreeable might get you invited, but boundaries are what get you promoted. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but that really is how it works. And this shows up everywhere in professional spaces. I see the career version of the chill girl showing up all the time. My clients are constantly, without telling me they're being the chill girl, are telling me they're being the chill girl with the things that they're doing. For example, saying yes to everything because you don't want to disappoint anyone, avoiding feedback or conflict because you don't want to be seen as quote unquote emotional, or downplaying your ambitions so you don't intimidate your peers, right? Letting others take credit because you don't want to seem petty or you don't want to put all the attention on you. Those are all career versions of the chill girl that aren't going to get you where you want to be. And the truth is that at those higher levels, whether it's leadership or subject matter expertise, the people that actually thrive are not the ones that are the most accommodating. In fact, they're usually the ones that have the most boundaries. The higher you go, the more ruthless your boundaries have to be. And I know we talked about this on an episode a couple weeks ago of how kind of the top CEOs and their version of working hard and things like that. But the CEOs at the top, they might not be our models for like our lifestyle, but what they do have is typically very good boundaries. We can learn from them how to protect our time, how to say no, how to delegate. They're not afraid to disappoint people because they know it's part of their job and they're not trying to be liked, they're trying to make money. And that's how we have to think about it, right? Maybe we're not a CEO running $1 billion business, but we're a CEO of ourselves and we want more money in our pockets. So how can we do that, right? They understand that being clear isn't being mean, it's being efficient. And so let's talk about why it is good to be difficult. And I use quotes because I don't think that difficult is the right word, but we can argue what the opposite of chill is. I just use difficult in this context, but we'll just use difficult as a way to describe that. But in no way or no means do I think that it's a negative thing. In fact, I think it's positive. So quote unquote difficult women get things done. They ask hard questions. They challenge broken systems. They refuse to perform gratitude for crumbs or for nothing. So let's define what difficult actually means. Difficult doesn't mean rude, it means direct. Difficult doesn't mean demanding, it means discerning. Difficult doesn't mean hard to work with, it means unwilling to self-abandon. And yes, being difficult is going to cost you some comfort. I always say in the moment, if you just go through the uncomfortable situation, it will be more comfortable long term. Versus if you pick comfort in the situation, long term, it will bring discomfort. That's usually what happens. So it's really just about understanding that this applies to every aspect of your life, right? Whether it's work, life, love, friendships, leadership, and that people who benefit from your chillness will always prefer you that way. So it's about understanding that not everyone is going to like you, and the people who don't like that you have boundaries are the ones that actually want to really press your boundaries. And those are either people you need to keep at a distance, remove from your life. Obviously, depending on the situation in a career, you can't really remove, bosses or employees or people that you work with, but you can keep a distance, keep setting boundaries. You may not be as close with them, and that's okay because they're not going to like what you're doing. And the people that you meet and that are meant for you at your next level will respect the version of you who says, no, that doesn't work for me. Or actually, could we do it this way? Or I don't think that is going to be the right fit, right? Those are the people you want in your life close to you. And again, not everyone needs to like you. Not everyone needs to like you. It's not necessary to be successful. It's actually impossible. You could be the nicest, best, most empathetic person in the world and someone will still have a problem with you, right? That's always what it's going to be. So instead, think of yourself as a business. Think of your bank account as your money coming in and say, okay, how can I make more money? And it's by setting boundaries. It's by showing up for yourself. It's by being difficult. So for all of those of you who, feel like you are the chill girl and you want to unlearn this and do something different, let's talk about 5 steps you can take to unlearn being the chill girl. So the first thing is to start noticing when you say it's fine or okay, or when you go into a situation. Step 1 is really just observing yourself and seeing when you're doing those things. Like, when are you actually saying it's okay when it's not? When are you taking on extra work when you shouldn't? When are you working over hours when you shouldn't? Like, just notice when you're doing it. Even write it down in a journal could be super, super helpful. Step 2 is to ask for what you want without over-explaining, okay? You can have a complete sentence without explaining yourself. I was just talking to a client. We were doing a salary discussion, and I was like, okay, how would you say the salary that you want in an interview? So, she gave me her response, but it was like, I want this this is the salary I think is great for this, market for this role based on my research. But then she also kept explaining. And I was like, the first part was great. You don't need the second part over explaining. Stop over explaining. Just ask for what you want. Hey, I need more one-to-ones. Could we schedule one every other week? You don't need to explain and go into detail, right? If they want to know more information, they will ask you. They will ask you. Step 3 is, and this is really hard to do, but let people be uncomfortable when you hold your boundaries. I always ask people this, my clients, I'm like, are you trying to manage other people's emotions? Because typically what happens is the reason we try to people please and we don't hold our boundaries is because we're worried about how the other person will react. But how the other person reacts isn't any of our business, right? If they're a grown adult and you've said something in a kind and empathetic way, that's on them, right? It shouldn't matter how they're reacting in that situation. That's their business. And if they react badly, we have to try to remember not to take it on, not to, take on that energy and really hold an energetic boundary. And it's okay to be uncomfortable. We have to learn to be uncomfortable. Step 4 is remembering that your standards are not a burden. You are allowed to have standards. You are allowed to do things a certain way. You are allowed to want certain things in life, and they are not a burden. In fact, this will filter out those people who don't agree with you and who don't want you at your best self. And step 5 is redefine what likability means, because likability is quite arbitrary in the sense of what does that even look like versus being respected feels safer, feels better than being liked, right? At the end of the day, someone who's respected is going to go a longer way in their career than someone who's just liked, right? So I think that that's super important. And look, at the end of the day, I understand that we want to be liked. That's human nature. It feels safe, but we really have to reframe this and tell our body that this is no longer what we need in our career to get to the other side, because being safe is feeling comfortable in your career, making a lot of money, having savings, all of those things that you can get by being promoted, and you get promoted by being quote unquote difficult and not by being the chill girl, right? And especially if you're overexhausted, you're stressed, you're burned out, that's not going to get you promoted. That's not going to get you to where you want to be. The boundaried woman, the woman who has boundaries, she's the one that's free. She's the one that's going to be happy. So the next time you're tempted to be a people pleaser, soften your edges, make someone else comfortable, remember, you were not meant to be the chill girl. You were meant to get what you want. You were meant to be clear. You were meant to make a lot of money. That is what you're meant for, okay? That is what you're meant for. So a couple of reflection prompts, as always, that I love to give. So feel free to write these down or jot them down in your notes. So prompt number 1 is, where am I over accommodating in my career? Reflection prompt 2 is, what am I afraid will happen if I stop being quote unquote chill? And number 3, what does being difficult look like in a healthy, powerful way for me? Okay. These are really great reflection prompts. Do them in a journal exercise. I think these will be super helpful to help pinpoint where you're being the chill girl and how we can come out of that, right? Because at the end of the day, you are not the problem. Your needs are not the problem, and you deserve to have them met and get what you want in life. It's very, very important to realize that you are worthy and you deserve all of those things, okay? I hope this episode was helpful, a little pep talk vibes. Hopefully you felt it and really took something away from this episode. If you love the episode, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. It's really encouraging for me to keep doing more episodes. And I hope you'll have an amazing week, and I'll catch you in the next episode.